You ever get that feeling, right in the pit of your stomach, like something's about to go sideways, but you can't quite put your finger on it? That's exactly how it started for me. One regular afternoon, sun streaming through the blinds, the doorbell rings. Not the Amazon guy, not a neighbor's kid selling cookies, but three men in matching dark suits, each one holding a briefcase like they were about to pitch me $1 million business deal. Their smiles were so wide, so rehearsed, I almost wanted to laugh, but something in their eyes said, "Don't." I cracked the door just enough to peek out, and the man in the center, let's call him Agent Roberts, since that's what he called himself, hit me with the smoothest line I've ever heard from an HOA rep. "Good afternoon, sir. We're here on behalf of the Homeowners Association. The community pool is under new management, and we'll be taking control effective immediately." Now, I've been around the block. I've helped draft half the pool rules myself, organized more summer BBQs than I care to count, and if there's anything I know, it's that nothing in an HOA moves immediately. My first thought, yeah, right, but I played along. "Excuse me," I asked, and their smiles tightened. "The board voted to transfer management. You'll need to vacate the premises." I could feel my blood start to boil. I'd worked too hard building this community to watch it get steamrolled by a bunch of strangers with fancy suits and fake authority. You know what I mean? So I told them, as politely as I could muster, "I'm on the committee. I helped write those rules. You have zero authority here." That's when I saw something shift behind their eyes. The mask slipped for just a second. "We'll see about that," Agent Roberts muttered, but I was already shutting the door in their faces. And that's how the war started. The truth is, I'd never been one to sit on the sidelines. I bought my little fixer-upper on this street more than a decade ago, back when Sarah and I were still figuring things out. It wasn't much, but we made it ours, raised kids, painted walls, built a life. I got involved in the HOA because I wanted to make sure this place stayed the kind of neighborhood where kids could ride their bikes and no one got run out over the length of their grass. That pool, though, that was my pride and joy. My kids learned to swim there. Neighbors became friends there. I wasn't about to let anyone, real or fake, walk in and take it away. So, like any half-decent amateur detective, I started digging. Called up Sarah, told her what happened. She didn't even sound surprised, just worried. "Something's off," I said, and I was right. When I started looking through the HOA records, there were missing meeting minutes, unexplained gaps in the paper trail, signatures that didn't match, like someone had been busy covering their tracks. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every shadow on the ceiling looked like a threat. So at first light, I drove to City Hall, looking for answers. The records lady handed me a folder so thin it could have been a napkin. The paperwork inside didn't match the public records I'd seen before. Signatures were different. Dates were off. Looked like the pool had been handed off to a private contractor behind everyone's backs, but none of it added up. Let me back up a sec. This wasn't just about paperwork. There was something bigger at play. So I did what any stubborn neighbor would do. I knocked on old Dave's door. Dave's the guy who's lived here since they paved the road, seen every HOA battle, every Halloween prank. He poured us both some terrible instant coffee and said, "You're right to be suspicious." Some of the board members talked about letting a private company take over, but nothing was ever made public. Not officially. That's when it clicked. This wasn't some bureaucratic mix-up. It was a scam. But I wasn't alone anymore. I started going door to door, sharing what I'd found. Mark and Lisa, 2 doors down, had their own horror stories. Random finds, evasive answers, the board president ducking questions at every turn. And the more people I talked to, the more it became clear. This neighborhood was full of folks just waiting for someone to give them a reason to fight back. So we did. With every conversation, every shared document, every neighbor who muttered, "You know, I thought something was fishy," the momentum built. We decided to hold a meeting at the community center, the first honest-to-God town hall this place had seen in years. That night, the room was packed. Faces I hadn't seen in months, some angry, some nervous, all of them ready to hear the truth. I laid out the evidence, financial records, forged minutes, missing signatures. "This isn't just about the pool," I told them. "It's about all of us. It's about trust." You could feel the anger simmering as people realized just how much they'd been taken for a ride. That's when Karen showed up. The infamous board president, always with the power suit and the fake smile, stormed in, flanked by the same 3 fake agents. She tried to take control, calling it all a misunderstanding, insisting everything was above board. But the crowd wasn't having it. Mark stood up, voice shaking with anger. "We're done with your games. You've been stealing from us." The agents tried to bluster their way out, waving around more fake documents. But by then the truth was out. Neighbors were standing, shouting, demanding answers. I'll never forget the sound. A whole community finding its voice at once. The agents buckled under the pressure. "Fine," Robert spat, "but this isn't over." And just like that, they slunk out, tails between their legs. Karen didn't last much longer. Faced with public outrage, she resigned within a week. Suddenly the neighborhood felt lighter, like the storm had finally passed. People started talking again, waving on the street, planning actual get-togethers instead of whispered complaints. The pool became a place for parties again, not power grabs. But the real win wasn't just getting rid of the scammers. It was what came after. The whole neighborhood got involved in rebuilding the HOA. We scrapped the old rules, wrote new ones, this time in the open, with input from everyone. We set up regular town halls, created a transparent feedback system, and made sure every big decision required a community vote. No more closed-door meetings. No more secrets. And yeah, somehow I wound up president. Not because I wanted the power, God knows, I'd had enough of that, but because folks trusted me to do what was right. I took that seriously. First thing I did was organize a pool party. No agenda, no politics, just a good old-fashioned celebration of what we'd accomplished together. Standing there by the pool, watching neighbors laugh and kids splash around, it hit me how much we'd all changed. We weren't just a collection of houses anymore. We were a community, one that had fought for itself, learned some hard lessons, and come out stronger. For once, I felt proud not just of the place, but of the people in it. And let's be real, maybe you've been through something like this too. Maybe not with an HOA, maybe it was at work, or school, or just life handing you lemons. But the lesson's the same. Don't wait for someone else to fight your battles. Stand up, speak out, lean on your neighbors, your friends, your family. You'll be surprised what happens when people come together for the right reasons. So, let me ask you, have you ever had to stand up for what's right, even when it felt like the odds were against you? What did you learn? How did it change you? Drop your story below, because I guarantee you someone else needs to hear it. And hey, if you want more stories about fighting the good fight, subscribe. We're all in this together. Let's keep building something worth believing in.